I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I wanted to share with you my recipe for crab stuffed manicotti. They are so delicious, and for everyone that's going to start yelling at me because in Italian cooking you think cheese and fish doesn't go together, you have to keep in mind that it's completely different, all different parts of Italy, but there's something about crab, I feel, and even lobster a little bit, that goes really kind of well with a cream sauce. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be making shrimp parm because that's not something I would ever make, because guess what? My nonna would have a fit, but this is nonetheless absolutely delicious, and I hope that you try it for the holidays if you're having a small gathering. But the ingredients we're going to start with are the ingredients to make the cream sauce. You'll need some milk, white wine, unsalted butter, flour, some Parmigiano, a little touch of nutmeg, salt, and pepper. Those are the ingredients you'll need for the white sauce, and then we'll go on and make the filling. It's going to be so good. Now, I've got a nice saucepan here, and I am going to add my butter. I'm going to let that melt. I have this over about medium heat. Now that the butter's melted, I'm going to add in my flour, and I'm just going to whisk that in and cook it for a good minute or so. I want to cook out any raw flour taste, otherwise it's going to be, you can taste it in the final product. So just by taking a few 30 seconds or so to make sure it's all cooked out while constantly stirring, I think everything really helps in getting rid of that raw flour taste. That's looking perfect. You can see there's no more bumps in there. I'm going to add in my white wine. Now the wine is going to add a little tang to this, otherwise I think it's going to be it would be a little bit too bland. The sauce would be a bit bland, so by adding the wine and letting that cook out for about 30 seconds or so, I think definitely adds a little tang to this that I love. And now we're going to add in our milk, our milk, and give that a really good stir. And now I'm actually going to switch to a whisk and cook this while whisking. It looks lumpy now, but trust me, it's all going to melt together. Sorry about the nasal. I have awful allergies. If you watch our vlogs, you'll know it's extremely windy around here, and anytime it's really windy, my allergies act up. So I did take an allergy pill, but I can't help it. This is lovely and thick, just how I want it. I'm going to let that go for 1 more minute and season this. Like I mentioned, every single time when it comes to white sauces, my mom would use white pepper. I use black pepper because I prefer black pepper, and a good pinch of salt, touch of nutmeg, not much, just an itty bitty bit. This definitely adds a little something special to this. And then some Parmigiano, a good amount, because you want this to be cheesy and delicious, and it's already smelling incredible because I could smell the wine, I could smell the nutmeg. Oh, lovely. Let me turn this off. Stir in my cheese, and this sauce is done. That's it. The sauce is done. Now I'm going to just set this aside, let it kind of cool a bit, and we'll get ready to make our filling. Now for the filling, you're going to need some really good quality crab meat. I'm using some jumbo lump crab meat here that I just went in and picked through to make sure that there are no shells and to break it up a bit. And then I've got a good handful here, well, a few handfuls here of baby spinach. It's been washed and dried. I also got some ricotta, some shredded mozzarella, which you can shred yourself. I just had some left over, so I figured I'd use that. Shallots, garlic, a little bit of lemon, salt, pepper, Parmigiano, and you'll need some pasta sheets, which I want to bring out in just a little bit. And here in this large skillet with high sides, I've got a little bit of olive oil. Into that's been preheating over about medium heat. I'm going to add my shallots, and I'm going to cook those together with the garlic for just a couple minutes or until they soften. To my crispy shallots and garlic, I'm going to add in my baby spinach that I've washed and dried. I actually haven't. I buy them that way. There's my secret. It's out. I buy my spinach washed and dried. What can I do? Okay, what I'm going to do, because there's so much in here, I'm going to put the lid on, turn the heat down to low, let it sit, let it stay in there for a few minutes just until the spinach wilts, and then we'll give everything a good stir, and we'll be ready to move on to the next step. Yeah, that's much better. So now I can really give this a stir. I'm also going to season the spinach with some salt and pepper. Some salt and pepper, please. I so badly want to be British. I just love the British accents. But anyways, salt and pepper the spinach. give those another stir, and they'll take another minute or so, and they will be completely wilted. Once they're totally wilted, you're done. You're all good to go. You don't have to cook this any further because I want to keep that bright green from the spinach. That looks great. I'm going to set that aside. Now to my ricotta and mozzarella, I'm not going to add any more salt because we put salt everywhere else in the dish, and here we've got so many cheeses that the cheeses are salty enough. But I am going to put a good amount of black pepper, and I'm going to grate in a good amount of Parmigiano because I want as much flavor as possible. However, yes, there's a lot of sort of rich flavors going on, but the crab, even though it's delicate, really complements those flavors. It's nothing too overwhelming. It's just really luscious, creamy, delicious with that sweet crab. It's just fantastic. And what I love about this dish is that you are taking 8 ounces of crab, which cost me almost $10, and you are stretching that to feed a good 6 people. So it's a real wow of a dish, and I love that I can share it with some people for the holiday season instead of having to make it for 20 people and costing me an arm and a leg. I'm also going to put in just a touch of lemon zest, and you don't have to, but it just goes, you know, lemon goes really well with any kind of seafood. So I like to add just a little tiny bit just for a little something special, just like we did with the cream sauce when we added the wine. We just wanted to add a little bit of brightness in there. We're doing the same thing in this case. I'm just going to mix the cheeses together just to get them combined because I don't want to, once I add my crab, I want to mix this as little as possible because I don't want to break up the crab too much. I'm actually going to put my spinach mixture in here as well because that's kind of been sitting there cooling just a bit. It's great. I mean, that alone would be a great filling for manicotti, or you could do stuffed shells. You could stuff that in ravioli. You could stuff the whole thing in ravioli if you wanted to, and some pasta, fresh pasta. It doesn't matter. It's going to be delicious however you do it. Adding in my crab, and I'm just going to stir this ever so lightly. I just really don't want to break up those crab pieces because they are so beautiful. And I want every little manicotti to have a really nice bite of crab, but I just want to make sure it's spread out evenly, and that looks perfect to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this aside, get my sauce over, and start assembling. Now what I have here is some fresh pasta sheets which came, you know, one big piece, and I just cut them in half. Now you can make your own pasta if you wanted to, and I've got a great recipe on my website on laurainthekitchen.com, which is my go-to pasta recipe. But this was on sale for $1.19 for 12 ounces, so I figured I might as well. It just did all the work for me, and I could use it in place of either fresh pasta that I make myself or the dried manicotti that you have to boil, which of course you could use that. Absolutely, it would be perfectly fine, but I'm just taking a little help here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little ladle and spread a little of this sauce on the bottom of my dish. Just makes it so that nothing sticks and that the manicotti has like a nice bed for everything to lay in. That's good enough. We'll spread it out. We'll spread it out with the pasta sheets. Now I cut them in half so that they're a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to take a spoonful of each filling. Don't fill this too much, otherwise it'll just explode. Put that in there, kind of spread that out nice and even. Wrap it a couple times and put it seam side down. Look at that. I've got all of my manicotti filled. I just kind of put that on the top because there was no more room for it. And now I'm going to just pour my sauce, the remaining sauce, all over this top of this bad boy. I mean, look at this lusciousness. And you know this is going to cook up and be gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now at this point, you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 375. This is making my mouth water. I can't wait to eat dinner. And now what I'm going to do, I want to make sure that it's spread nicely. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this with some aluminum foil, and I'm going to let this cook into the oven covered for about 25 minutes or so, about a half an hour. And then we are going to uncover it and let it continue to bubble away until the top is golden brown and crispy. It'll take another 20 minutes or so, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Manicotti were in the oven covered for 30 minutes, and I took the foil off, and they continued to bake for another 25 minutes or so. And I let them cool for about 15 minutes because when I took them out, the cheese sauce was like, it was bubbling, and I didn't want to burn myself. But how beautiful is that? I'm going to go for this one right over here because I am a sucker for these pieces right here. Oh, it smells fantastic. It doesn't smell like big, heavy, like a fishy smell. It's just really subtle, and more than anything, it just smells sweet because the crab is kind of on the sweet side, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Let's give this a go. Oh, I love this. I love that filling. It's like, look at that. Look at this pieces of crab in there. Yes. Hot. That's where the money's at. That is top-notch delicious. You could add a little bit of hot sauce to this if you wanted to make things spicy, or a kick of hot pepper flakes, but I think this is perfect as is. I'm so happy with this recipe. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get it, and if you want to make this for a small dinner party, it would be perfection. Serve this with just a simple green salad, maybe a homemade baguette, or something nice and warm and crispy on the side. A killer dessert, and you have got a great, fantastic meal. Hope you've enjoyed spending time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye. Are you ready? Are you ready? I look like I'm having a seizure.